Well, the like implications of it are profound, I think. Like the implications of that are profound because we're reconnecting with our structure, our inherent structure.
Yeah.
And what that means ontologically is like is extremely profound. It's like you can feel yourself supporting yourself.
So today we were thinking about talking about override. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I have so many thoughts about it. Someone I know who got lessons from David, she was in the training and she had a lot of chronic pain. And he said, for you, he's like, no one's gonna touch you. And when he gave her FIs, he would just guide her through the like kind of very gentle eye movements is where he started.
Mm.
And I think eventually like he expanded from there and now she can receive like touch FIs from him. But he really, really took his time and he recognized something in her that needed to go really slow.
Yeah, that's interesting. Um, did she know that about herself? I don't want to get too tangential, but I'm just curious. Did she know that about herself, or was he the one to um decide that?
You know, she had never received hands-on work when she joined the training. She had only ever done ATM, which is awareness through movement. She had never done functional integration, the hands-on stuff before. So I don't know if I think the question probably didn't even occur to her.
Right.
Um, yeah, I know. I didn't know that there was hands-on work either when I joined my training. I had only ever done awareness through movement.
I might have been similar.
Hmm.
I think I was the same too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was taking a lot of ATMs before I joined the training, and I remember someone suggesting a private to me, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Interesting. But yeah, I guess I was just thinking about David, the story you just told, and it's like I think the question of overriding is big because I think there's at least like two or three angles, and like one is the discernment of one person regarding another person, and that's what David's situation was, right? This woman shouldn't be touched. This woman should be prepped in some way. I mean, I don't know what his thought was. That this woman needs to be just talked to for a while until. I mean, I know about like the vagal polyvagal theory stuff like that with like really traumatized people. It's like that for a while. If you deem that someone's very traumatized, their nervous system is in a freeze, like a locked freeze state or a locked fight or flight state or something, you
Mm.
don't go right into touch with them. You have to develop like trust and safety before you can do that. So I know that that is like a tactic,
Hmm.
but it's interesting to me, like, so he's the one to discern that. And I guess that's what we do in FI. Like, this is, I guess, I think this is appropriate for this person, or this is not appropriate for this person.
Hmm.
And then the framework for like overriding comes out of that.
Mm.
Um, and then there's like a personal sense of limited to the Feldenkrais paradigm, like an ATM, when you're being asked to do something
Hmm.
and you have to decide whether or not it's appropriate for you to do that, and to do something that you've deemed inappropriate would be to override and push past some awareness you have. And I'm also very interested in what that means in our daily lives outside of Feldenkrais,
Hmm.
because that is happening constantly, I think. Um, Countless examples every day of that, I think.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, there's so much in there. I mean, the The very first thing I think is like how there are some people that when they come in, like I just don't want to touch them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm often a little bit hesitant to make that first contact anyways. But for me, it's very much like a felt sense and like just like, does it feel good to me to have my hands on this person, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that there's some sort of mutual feeling going on there. The other thought I had was that sometimes though I feel like my touch is safer than my words. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a way that I'm like actually like with some people I think it's just like it's actually they might feel safer if I'm just like holding their shoulders, you know, as opposed to um
Talking with them.
yeah, yeah, totally. Because I think that it's really easy to listen like that way. Um yeah, yeah. When I think about override, the other thing that I think about is and like how this stuff applies to our life. There's something about receiving an FI. Like I can be fine like I can go out and like do like more active things, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
and I think I used to hurt myself more, but now it's like I don't really hurt myself so much. Um or like I can like receive like massage or I can like receive like intimate touch and all that kind of stuff. But there's something about like receiving touch in an FI or
Mm-hmm.
moving myself in an awareness through movement lesson that are like very different. And I'm
Yeah.
so much more vulnerable in those
Yes.
than I am in like other activities in my life. And like part of me can be like, oh, well, it's just like I'm you know, in just like a much more reduced tone, like I'm more in the parasympathetic state. So
Yeah.
literally have like less muscle tone to like protect my joints,
Yeah.
or less something to protect um like my psyche or
Yeah.
energy, like all of this stuff, right? It's
Yeah. You just keep being like, yeah. Yeah. No, it's so real what you're saying. I feel so similarly.
yeah. So it's like
I like don't get FI anymore.
oh
And I want it so badly. But I just like don't like there's so few people I feel like I could handle receiving it from because of what you're saying. It's like I feel like it's like predicated on that like receptivity, which is intense. It's a lot of vulnerability.
yeah. It really, really is. It really is.
But I don't know if that's like for everything for everyone. I think it is, but on some level. But like I also think like I don't know. I don't want to be like you and I, but like I feel like we maybe it's easier for us to get into that like imprinted like place of being imprinted on.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about like my complaint about being called sensitive. I'm like, what if I'm not sensitive and people are just like dull or something? But it's like, yeah, okay, like we are like maybe more sensitive than the average person or something. And like, I don't know. I feel like it goes in. And like by the end of my training, we were both saying this. So by the end of our training, we just like didn't want people touching us anymore. Um, it's like a overload and a training situation is an extreme because you're receiving and giving FI 3 or 4 a day and I don't think anyone in their right mind would do that in real life, but maybe if you were going in for like an intensive with like a really experienced practitioner you would get 1 FI a day for like a few days or something like that, but we're getting 3 or 4 and it's a
Yeah.
lot.
It's a
um
yeah.
but I don't know, I agree with you. Even still just getting just getting an FI is a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should be saying this, but
Yeah, because we're like, I'm get an FI. It's a lot.
yeah, exactly. Be careful.
I feel like though, like it doesn't, well, I I mean, I think for me, FI has always been there's always only been a few people who I felt like I could receive FI from. Um,
Yeah, me too.
but I also do, I think I am becoming more sensitive as I go, maybe. But I feel like well, one, that place of vulnerability is where I feel like it's like the more vulnerable you are, the deeper the change, right? So
Hmm.
that state of being easy to imprint, it's like, yeah, like you have to be careful because it could be a negative imprint, but it's also where like really positive imprints can happen. Um,
Hmm.
and so that, yeah, I don't know. I just think about that and now I can't remember what my other thought was, but do you have something you want to add? Do you think
Um, no, I mean, this is like, this is another override that, like, it's like we're like, are we overriding something to receive FI too? Which was another, which I didn't add. I said giving FI and I said doing ATM, and
Yeah,
I,
yeah. I
uh, think
yeah,
we're touching on receiving FI.
yeah. But I wanna say that I think a lot of people when they have FI, they're not used to going into that place or that state.
Yeah,
And so it can actually for
yeah.
them it can feel like it's really relaxing, right? Like they get to let go of this like extra work that they'd been carrying around with them. It's really it can be fascinating because you get to start to learn and
Hmm.
about yourself that you didn't know. And then it can for other people it can be profoundly healing because you feel like you're getting met in these like really deep places, you know? And the person doesn't necessarily have like an intention or something they're trying to do, like they're just there, like
Yep.
just with you. And and then sometimes it can feel like Karen has found certain I've sprained my right ankle so many times and she has found certain things and been able to like connect my foot like all the way up through me and it feels so good. Like I can just be like, "Oh my God, like where have you been all my life?" You know? Like
Yeah, it feels so good. FI feels so good.
yeah, yeah, when it's good, it is so good.
It's amazing. There's nothing like it.
No, there really isn't. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we've talked about with like you and I have tried a lot of different things and like this is a very unique thing.
Very, very unique. Yeah. Yeah. It does. It's like parts of you that you are disconnected from, it can really help you reconnect to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the like implications of it are profound, I think. Like the implications of that are profound because we're reconnecting with our structure, our inherent structure.
Yeah.
And what that means ontologically is like is extremely profound. It's like you can feel yourself supporting yourself,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is what to feel that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is connect. It's interesting because we're going to talk about bones. So here we are, bones. But we are also going to talk about psychotherapy. Here we are, also like you can talk, and I'm a fan of psychotherapy, so I'm not going to throw it under the bus or whatever. But like you can talk yourself in circles all you want, and never feel that support. And then you can get an FI or do an ATM or something and stand up and feel yourself supporting yourself. And it's like, whoa, like to have a felt sense of that, to feel your own agency. Um, it's huge, it's life changing. I think that's why the big guys in the like neurology and kind of pop psychology fields like Bessel, van der Kolk, and Gabor Mate, and those guys that we've talked about a little bit. Like, I think Marion Woodman's, I'm a big fan of. She's a Jungian. A lot of these people talk about Feldenkrais in their books, and I think, and they're writing about psychology, they're writing about trauma, they're writing about healing from these things we consider more to belong to the realm of psychotherapy, but they bring Feldenkrais in, and I think for me it's because of this phenomenon.
Mm. Hmm.
Reconnecting to yourself in a felt way, in a body, in a the body and brain are speaking to each other. You can feel yourself, you can feel parts of yourself that have been like either like numbed out or whatever you've dissociated from, and then you can feel your inherent structure providing the support that you need.
And it feels it's so much less effort, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like that's the
uh,
other tricky
that's
thing.
important.
Yeah, because we all feel like supporting ourselves is like has to be a lot of I gotta put in the work. I
Have
gotta
to be
I
strong,
gotta do yeah, I
whatever.
gotta get strong, whatever. Or like I gotta be financially independent. It's like all the different ways that
Yeah, well,
but
if I just have this, then it'll be.
yeah, yeah, totally. If I just have this, that's a huge one. Yeah. But
And
it's
like whatever it is going to be, and then whatever the next thing's going to be, the next thing.
yes, yes. And this is like, yeah, you feel it and it's there and it's so much less work than what you
And
thought
you
it.
have it.
And you have it. Yeah.
It's yours.
Yeah.
I think that's really important too. I mean, it's hard in the healing world not to get attached or connected to a practitioner who's helping you feel it and helping you feel it. But I
Yeah.
think a really important aspect of Feldenkrais is that it is yours, and
Really.
the practitioner can help you, and in a sense to feel something like they say it said in one of my trainings, like ATM is, for everything, but like FI is for the blind spots that like you're for some reason missing something in ATM, or you keep not seeing something in ATM, and a practitioner can help you in FI with that sort of blind spot. And
Mm,
I think that's good in some ways, way to think about it, but in some ways it might be problematic too. But
mm,
I do think, it's harder in something like, I'll choose acupuncture because that's familiar to me, or like osteopathy or whatever. Like, you go to your osteopath, you go to your acupuncturist, they give you a treatment, you feel better. It's like, yes, and then it's like, I feel so good, and then it's like, well, I gotta go back next week. Like,
mm,
they made me feel that, or they made that better. Like, now I'm not having acne or whatever it is. Like great. Like, but it feels more like, obviously your body responds to them or whatever, but it's with Feldenkrais, it's like you are learning the thing, and
mm,
like it belongs to you.
mm,
I think that's an important aspect that we stress that other modalities don't.
mm-hmm.
The learning is yours, you're the teacher, right? That Moshe quote that's like, I'll be your last teacher, not because I'm some like amazing guru or whatever, but because like you're gonna become your teacher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're aiming for. Some part of me feels like I want to ground it back in the it's like, but you do like as you were talking about the support, like I was feeling it and I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. But then it's like we do lose it, you know?
yeah, we do.
It's not like it's like a permanent thing.
No,
And I think that's where like habit comes in, or if I think about
hard, painful realization too.
yes,
So
yes.
we lose it. We don't always have it.
We don't always have it. I kind of feel like though you do learn that if you just like pause and stop, like you can find it again. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but sometimes
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, but sometimes it's hard when we're out and about in the world to like to be willing to do that or something, you know?
Yeah, that's overriding again too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, there is this deep receptive state that I feel like the Feldenkrais work requires. And
I do too,
is
yeah.
it always practical to get into that state when you're like grocery shopping or like driving your car to Colorado or like whatever? Like, it's like actually it would be more efficient for me to like stay in like my like um adrenalized like fight or flight state right now, because if I start like doing the pelvic clock in my truck, like
Yeah.
I don't know who's that. That's probably just gonna make me wish that I wasn't driving my truck. Like I don't know.
And
It's not always. Oh, sorry.
there's a book that just came out that my friend Heather Gordon wrote with Bridget Vixnens called Melting Freeze at the Dawn of the Golden Age. And it
Mm,
actually, that's the subtitle. The actual book is called The Map of Seven Realms. And I think in some ways this reminds me a little bit of what you've talked about in Chinese medicine with like the palaces, although that's a very uh, general association I think that I'm making. I mean, really, it's mapping the nervous system, and
mm,
she does something nice where she doesn't like to call things dysregulation, or no, she doesn't like to call things functional because she feels like even the dysregulation is really, really functional. And
yeah.
I love that. I was like, yes. I
Yeah.
want to say we have like 4 more minutes. And so I've noticed I have this tendency to kind of like end with like a bone to pick. So part of
Uh-huh.
me is like, I don't want to quite do that. But I do also want to say like that, yeah, anyways, just that kind of language I like better. Because I think if I was to,
Yeah.
in general, the thing that kind of made me get a little stuck in Feldenkrais was that the language can be very much like this is right and this is wrong.
Right.
And so I just want to say that I think that yeah, that there's brilliance in the dysfunction and in the dysregulation in using the fight or flight, you know?
Well, I think Feldenkrais would agree with that, right? Like, and I don't want to use the word functional because you just said, but I think there's a function for that, right? He's like in the same way that I like what I'm thinking about right now is all the breathing exercises or the breathing lessons that we have, because there's a lot of breathing is really trendy right now, and we've got a lot of like breathing schools that are telling you never mouth breathe or never breathe like this or whatever. They all have their this is the optimal way a human breathes, blah blah blah. And Feldenkrais was like, no, like we have thousands of ways of breathing and they're all going to come in handy in a different situation. And I think likewise with what you're saying, like even the quote unquote dysregulation or whatever, like even things that we think of as like maladaptive, maybe like
Yes.
have a function, have a role, and usually it's suited to survival, and like the
Yes.
organism has developed it because it was the best way it could survive given whatever circumstance it was in.
Yeah.
And thank God for that.
Yeah.
um
I think it's so important to not think that something that we're doing is wrong,
yeah.
in this work. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And in honestly, in anything, but but I don't know. Maybe there's exceptions to that. I'm like thinking about like relational dynamics and things like
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
empathetic situations. But yeah, yeah. I don't know how much time we have left, but I feel like we could talk about overriding again because I feel like
Yeah.
there's more aspects that we could get into.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we should, and
Overriding part two.
yes, overriding part two, overriding the fact that there's only just going to be one part.
Yeah, I think we really should do overriding part two.
Okay, let's do it. That sounds really good. Oh, thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah, thank you. This was great. I really like talking about this.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's like clarifying, and it also, yeah, I feel like I get to bring out some of the things that are like hiding in the closet, and then when I bring them out, they don't seem as scary. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that.
All right, until next time, override part two.
override part two.
Okay.
Bye.